If I had one dime for every person who has come up to me over the last years and said, "Thank you for Ron Johnson," America would not be $17 trillion in debt. I believe one of America's finest senators is Wisconsin's senator, your Senator Ron Johnson.
Everybody. Good morning. Good morning, fellow patriots. You know, I'm following 5 exceptional human beings, 5 exceptional men, and I'm mindful of the fact that 4 years ago in 2010, there were 3 Republican members of Congress from the state of Wisconsin. And did you just notice that I mentioned I'm following 5 Republican members of Congress? That achievement is because of you. The fact that I'm a senator, a Republican senator from the state of Wisconsin, is because of you. And I'm mainly here to thank you and encourage you to keep up the good work. Now, 4 years ago, I told my story at this convention, this very hotel. There are a lot of good memories coming back here. And I basically made 2 promises to this convention. I said I would never vote with my re-election in mind, and you could count on me to always tell you the truth. I've kept those promises. I think you're also aware of the fact that primarily the main reason I ran because of the passage of Obamacare, which Congressman Ribble just pointed out was based on a series of lies. Well, our predictions about what Obamacare was, the harm, the damage it would cause to real people, has come true. On the floor of the Senate, Republican senators are reading emails, are reading letters. They are heart-wrenching from real Americans. One of the ones I wrote, or I read, came from Gina Sell, a 29-year-old mother of 2, a registered nurse. They had health care. Her husband worked. But because of Obamacare, they lost their policy, contrary to President Obama's promise. And their alternatives were incredibly higher premiums. Premiums so high she could no longer afford to buy health care, not being employed. So the Sells had a very difficult choice to make. Do they go without health care because they couldn't afford it? Or do one of them quit their job so they would lower their income so they would qualify for the subsidies so they could afford Obamacare? Now, how sick, how perverse is that? To quote Gina's letter, she said, "This scenario is life-altering. My husband and I are at a loss for what to do." We got other emails, we got other letters, phrases like, "What are we? Collateral damage? Please help us. We are begging you to help us. We are scared." Now, we read hundreds of those letters on the floor of the Senate, and then Senator Harry Reid, the majority leader of the United States Senate, took to the floor and said all of those stories were lies. Harry Reid called hardworking Americans, Wisconsinites, liars. That is outrageous, particularly when we keep in mind the lies that were told to sell Obamacare. If you like your health care plan, you can keep it, period. If you like your doctor, you can keep it, period. I'd like to talk about another lie of this administration. I'd like to talk about Benghazi. You know, there are so many outrages about the Benghazi story. The outrage of the before, the during, the after. The before outrage, which is really the primary outrage, is because of the dereliction of duty of this administration, of the State Department, of the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. 4 brave Americans are dead. It was because of her dereliction of duty. There were repeated requests for additional security. Those requests were not only denied, they ramped down security. A small security detail of some of the finest among us would have been a deterrent. And Ambassador Stevens and 3 other brave Americans did not have to die. The outrage of the during. Nobody knew in this administration that the survivors would be able to leave Benghazi within 12 hours. Nobody knew that for a fact. And yet this administration did nothing, scrambled no assets, sent no help to Americans on the ground in Benghazi, even though there were assets that could have been scrambled, could have got there certainly before 12 hours, and yet they did nothing. That is outrageous. The after, we were subjected to 2 weeks of lies. I want to concentrate on one incredibly craven lie. And I want you to put yourself in the position of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who went to Andrews Air Force Base to welcome back the remains of 4 brave Americans that gave their life in the service of this country. She went there to represent the United States of America and to offer condolences to the survivors, to the mothers and fathers. Now, if you're in that position, I don't envy that task. I've had to do it. As a human being, wouldn't you go up to the father of, let's say, Tyrone Woods, give him a hug, and offer your sincere condolences? It's not what Secretary Clinton did. Sure, she gave him a hug, and when she shook his hand, to quote the father of Tyrone Woods, she said, we're going to have that filmmaker arrested. At that moment that should have been filled with nothing but human compassion and genuine condolence, our Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, decided to cravenly perpetuate a lie, a cover-up, to cover up her dereliction of duty. Now, why do I point that out here at a Republican convention here in Wisconsin? Because Hillary Clinton right now is a preemptive favorite to become the Democratic nominee for President of the United States in 2016. And I want every Wisconsinite, I want every American to think of that moment. Put yourself in Secretary Clinton's shoes and ask yourself, is that how you would have conducted yourself in that solemn moment? And then ask yourself the next question. Would you even consider electing Hillary Clinton President of the United States? I hope the answer is no. Now, in her answer to my very simple question, why didn't you just get on the phone, call the survivors, and find out what really happened so you could actually tell the American people the truth after Benghazi? She uttered her now infamous words, what difference at this point does it make? Let me tell you what difference it makes. The American people do deserve to be told the truth. And when they're not told the truth, they lose confidence in their government. Now, I've been quoted as saying that I've heard politicians say we need to restore faith in government. And I've been quoted as saying, no, I don't agree with that. We need to engender the healthy, let me underline healthy, distrust of an all-powerful, all-intrusive federal government that our founders held. But at the same time, for those vital, important, enumerated powers that the federal government must fulfill, the American people do have the right. They have the expectation to be told the truth. And when they're not, the difference it makes is we are a less secure nation because the government is not able to do what it must do to keep us safe. You know, I go around the state and I give what's not the most uplifting PowerPoint presentation laying out the incredibly difficult fiscal challenges facing this nation. You know, I really don't have to have a PowerPoint to really describe what ails our country. I can state it verbally. It's that far too many Americans have either forgotten, or let's face it, what's even more sad, they were never taught the foundational premise of the United States. Our founders came from dictatorial monarchies and aristocracies. They understood full well that we are men and we need to be governed. But they really understood that government, by and large, isn't here to solve our problems. Government, by and large, is something to fear. Because as government grows, our freedoms necessarily recede. That's why they established this delicate balance between the three branches to keep each branch in check, to limit the growth and the power and the intrusion of government. That's what's at stake in this election in 2014. That's what's at stake in 2016 and 2018. So here's the game plan. We, and I mean we, all of us, need to be informed. We need to spread that information around. We need to talk to people that don't always necessarily agree with us. We need to convey to them the priorities facing this nation. We got to be working full time with all of our strength and all of our might. We've got to make sure that in Wisconsin here, we retain the majorities in the legislature. We have to absolutely make sure that a courageous governor is reelected. We need to make sure that these 5 members of Congress get reelected. We need to do everything we can around the country. If you've got a few extra dollars, support Republican candidates for the Senate so we can remove Harry Reid from that majority leadership position. And the minute that we are successful in that goal or those goals, we turn our attention to the incredibly important election of 2016. We don't shut down the operation. We don't let it grow stagnant. We don't rest a minute until we renew our efforts to make sure that we retain the United States Senate seat and that we turn this year Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes over to the next Republican president of the United States. Now let me conclude by pointing out what I think you already realize. The Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, they're relentless in their denial of our freedoms. I don't know why they want to control everything, but that's exactly what they want to do. The one unifying power of the Democratic Party is power and control. We must be every bit as relentless as Republicans, as conservatives, as Tea Party, to preserve our freedoms. Now, I realize at this convention there's some disagreements among friends, among patriots. Do not let those disagreements divide us. We must always remember that our 99%, our 95, our 90, our 85, our 80% friend is still our friend. One thing I can guarantee you, a third party elects Al Franken. A third party elects the governor of Virginia. I will absolutely guarantee you, if we're united, we can win. We can save this nation. If we are divided, we lose, and America loses. So let's remain united. You know what you have to do. Come together. Understand what's at stake. God bless your efforts. God bless Wisconsin. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.